In the busy streets of Lagos, where dreams and danger walk side by side, something strange happened on a Thursday evening that left the whole city in shock. Market women stopped shouting, bus drivers turned off their ignition. Everyone watched with wide eyes and open mouths. A young woman, dressed in a torn crop top and skirt that barely covered her thighs, was running barefoot along the expressway at Ojuelegba. Her hair scattered like she fought with a bush animal. Her eyes looked wide, empty and confused. She was shouting words that didn't make sense. "Leave me alone! Sea money! Sea serpent! Blood! Blood! Blood everywhere!" Some people thought it was drugs. Others said maybe she lost her senses from heartbreak. But then someone pointed to a black Lexus Jeep that had sped off just a few seconds before she started acting strange. "That's the car that dropped her! I saw it with my eyes," shouted a Malam who sells suya at the roundabout. The story spread fast. Before sunset, it was already all over TikTok, Instagram, and WhatsApp groups. But who was this girl? Why did she go mad? What happened in that Lexus Jeep? Welcome to African Tales by Emma. Please like, share, and subscribe. Now let me take you back to how it all started. Her name was Onome, a 300-level student of mass communication at the University of Lagos. Onome was a very beautiful girl, slim waist, pretty face, and the kind of voice that makes people turn their heads when she laughs. She was known in school for always dressing well and hanging out with rich boys. But Onome wasn't always like that. She came from a humble home in Delta State. Her father was a retired secondary school teacher, and her mother was managing a small foodstuffs shop to support in providing for their family needs. Onome came to Lagos with dreams of making it big. She wanted to be a TV presenter, own a YouTube channel, and become famous. But Lagos was not smiling. Rent was expensive, food was expensive. What about school fees, project and handouts? Everything cost money. Onome was struggling. Her parents did their best, but it was never enough. She couldn't even afford a decent phone when she first arrived. Then she met Tolu, a friend from her department. Tolu was different. Always had new wigs, wore designer slippers, and used iPhone 14 Pro. She didn't even attend lectures often, yet she had money to throw around. One afternoon, as they ate indomie and egg in the hostel, Onome finally asked, "Tolu abeg, tell me the truth. Waitin' you dey do?" Tolu laughed, sipped her Fanta, and looked at her like a big sister talking to a JJC. "Babe, you are suffering for no reason, oh. This Lagos way you dey suffer like say you be bricklayer, na men dey run am." Onome was confused. "You mean boyfriend?" Tolu laughed again. "Not just any boyfriend. I mean clients. Men who appreciate beauty and know how to take care of a girl. Real men, not these hungry boys in campus." At first, Onome rejected the idea. She told herself she would never sell her body. But after months of borrowing money, drinking Gary with groundnut, and dodging her landlady, her pride began to shake. Then one day, Tolu introduced her to a guy. He was tall, dark, with a neatly trimmed beard and always wore designer shades. He came in a black Lexus RX 350, the type that makes people say, "This one no be normal level." His name was Depor. "Call me Uncle Depor," he said the first day, smiling as he held Onome's hand gently like an uncle. He was friendly, he spoke well, and had money, like plenty of it. Within 2 weeks, he bought her a new phone, paid her previous rent in full, and sent her 200,000 for data and upkeep. Onome's life changed. She started wearing bone-straight hair, changed her wardrobe, and moved into a better apartment off campus. She even started skipping classes just like Tolu. Uncle Depor liked her, or so she thought. But he had one condition: never ask questions. "Onome," he would say in that calm voice, "I don't like noise. If I say I'll call, wait. Don't ever call me. If I send money, say thank you and move on, and never, ever ask about my family." Onome nodded. After all, she wasn't in love. She was just trying to survive. But one evening something happened. Uncle Depor called her and said, "Get ready. I'm sending the driver to pick you. Wear something short." Onome dressed up, sprayed her expensive perfume, and waited. A black Lexus picked her up just like always. The driver didn't speak. He only nodded as she entered the car. This time, they didn't go to a hotel. They went to a duplex in Ikoyi. The compound was quiet, no gate man. Just the driver who opened the door and told her, "Go inside. My boss is waiting." Onome entered. The sitting room was dark, only one lamp was on. She called out, "Hello? Uncle Dapor?" Then she heard the door lock behind her. She turned and saw three strange men in red wrappers. Their faces were painted white. They said nothing. One of them walked forward and held a clay pot in front of her. Before she could scream, something hit her head from behind, and she blacked out. When she woke up, she was in the same Lexus Jeep, alone with just the driver. Her clothes were torn, her body felt weak, her mouth was dry. She looked around and tried to understand what had happened, but her memory was unclear. The driver dropped her near Ojuelegba Bridge and sped off. That was when it started, the voices in her head, the fire in her eyes, and the madness. She began to run, screaming, rolling on the floor, and pulling her hair. Bystanders tried to help, but she fought everyone like her life depended on it. She shouted names nobody recognized. She talked about blood, about snakes, about voices in her ears. A pastor passing by stopped and prayed, but she slapped his Bible away. Water sellers, Okada men, school children, all of them stood still. Nobody knew what to do. Eventually, the Lagos State Traffic Management Authority, last May, officers arrived and tried to carry her. She bit one of them. It took 6 men to hold her down and tie her with a scarf. An ambulance came later and took her to the psychiatric hospital at Yaba. Nobody came for her. Not even Tolu. Not even Uncle Dapor. Her story turned out to be one of those things people whisper about at night. She wanted to belong. She liked fast life. Now see her. But the truth is, nobody really knew what happened in that house in Ikoyi. And the Lexus Jeep? It was never seen again. Days passed, but Onome remained at a psychiatric hospital. She no longer screamed like before, but her eyes still carried a deep emptiness, like someone whose soul had gone for a walk and refused to return. Nurses would try to talk to her, ask for her full name, her parents' contact, or anything, but all she did was rock back and forth and whisper strange things. "Don't open the calabash. They're watching. He said I should smile even when it burns." It was heartbreaking. She had no ID on her, no phone, nothing to trace her family. The hospital staff could only tag her as unknown young female, possibly in her 20s. Some nurses pitied her. Some believed it was drug-related. Others swore she had been used for ritual purposes but didn't fully cross over. Meanwhile, back at Unilag, her absence didn't go unnoticed. Her course mates began to ask questions. "Where's Onome?" "She hasn't posted on Instagram for 2 weeks. Her hostel room is locked." "She didn't show up for the mid-semester test." At first, people thought she traveled. But when her phone remained unreachable for over a week, the rumors began. Tolu, her closest friend, remained silent. She didn't visit her hostel. She didn't ask questions. Some girls started whispering behind her back. "Now Tolu carry her go meet all these Yahoo men. Dem use Onome collect power. See how Tolu still they shine?" One evening, while scrolling through her phone, Tolu saw a viral video on Twitter. The caption read, "Young girl runs mad at Ojuelegba after stepping down from black Lexus Jeep." Suspected ritual. Tolu's hand shook. She opened the video. Her heart stopped. It was Onome, running barefoot on the road and screaming. Her hair was messy like old sponge, her makeup looked dirty, and her clothes looked torn. She was not the Onome from campus anymore. She was a faded version of herself. Tolu dropped her phone. She couldn't breathe. Tolu remembered that night clearly. She had told Onome, "Oga Dapor wants to see you. He said he'll change your life." But after Onome left, Tolu didn't hear from her again. She had called Ogadapur later that evening to ask what happened, but he didn't pick. By the next day, he had blocked her line. Just like that. Now it all made sense. They had used her. Tolu felt guilt for the first time in a long time. But fear was stronger than guilt. She told herself, I can't go and put my mouth in this thing. I don't want to end up like her. So she said nothing. Far away in Delta State, in a small village near Ughelli, Onome's mother, Mama Onome, sat on her wooden stool peeling cassava. Her eyes had been swollen from crying all week. She hadn't heard from her daughter in over 3 weeks. No calls, no texts. Onome always sent money every 2 weeks, even if it was small. But now, there was silence. Mama Onome went to the MTN office in town. They said the number had been unreachable. She went to the nearest cyber cafe and begged the young boy there to help her check Facebook or WhatsApp something. After typing for a while, the boy looked at her slowly. Mama, wait. You say your daughter named Na Onome from Unilag? Yes. He turned the screen to her. And there she was, running mad on the street. Mama Onome collapsed. They rushed her to the nearby chemist. She cried for 2 days straight. Her only child, her pride, her hope. Now mad, in Lagos. She sold her last goat to raise transport money and boarded a night bus to Lagos with one nylon bag. At the Yaba hospital, she was directed to the female ward. The nurse let her in gently. She doesn't speak much. But maybe when she sees you, she'll respond, the nurse said. Mama Onome entered the room. There were 6 other women in the ward, but she recognized her daughter immediately. There she was, sitting near the window, hair shaved, her lips were dry, and she was just rocking back and forth recklessly. Mama Onome walked slowly and called her name softly. Onome, my Pekin. Nami, Mama. Onome paused. Her rocking stopped. She turned her head slowly and their eyes met, but in total silence. Tears flowed from Mama Onome's eyes. Onome, my baby, what'n happened to you? Who do you like this? Onome blinked, then whispered, Blood. Everywhere. Mama, I screamed. They took my voice. I didn't say yes. I didn't say yes. She started screaming again. The nurses rushed in. They calmed her with an injection. Mama Onome held her chest, crying. They have destroyed my child. They have finished me. Back at school, the news had spread all over. A course mate posted the video again on WhatsApp status, adding, Guys, this is no joke. This is our course mate. Onome, from mass comm lecturers, started asking questions. The school dean called a departmental meeting, but nobody had answers. Meanwhile, 2 girls from Tolu's circle also went missing in the same week. They were gone, no trace. And guess what? All of them were connected to the same mysterious man, Uncle Dapur. But who was this man? Nobody had a picture. Nobody knew his real name. Some said he was a politician. Others said he was into spiritual business. One said he was a cultist who needed girls to renew his wealth every July. The only thing they all agreed on was that he drove a black Lexus Jeep. One day, Onome began to speak. Not fully sane, but in moments of silence, she would say things that made people listen closely. He said I was beautiful. He said he wanted to help me. But when I entered the house, Mama, there was blood on the wall. Snake with a human face. I ran, but the door didn't open. I'm not mad. I saw what they didn't want me to see. Doctors started writing reports. Some said it was a psychotic break caused by trauma. Others believed it was spiritual. Mama Onome didn't care what they called it. All she wanted was her daughter back. She took Onome's picture and went from church to church, from prophet to prophet. She went to prayer mountains, carried olive oil, and even paid for deliverance sessions. Still, Onome remained trapped in that strange world, between madness and memory. But one day, something changed. She woke up and looked her mother in the eye and whispered, Mama, I want to go home. Finally, 2 months since Onome had been admitted at Yaba left, her condition improved slightly. She no longer screamed every night, the shaking minimized, and though her eyes still held that haunted look, they now blinked with recognition whenever her mother entered the ward. She started eating again, little by little. Every evening, her mother would sit beside her bed, rub her feet with shea butter, and sing soft lullabies from their hometown, old childhood songs that Onome used to hear as a baby. Some days, Onome would hum along. Some days, she just stared at the wall. But one particular Thursday, something happened. Mama Onome was humming as usual when Onome suddenly sat up, held her mother's hand, and whispered, "Mama, dem no fit take me. I didn't agree and I didn't sign it." Tears gathered in her mother's eyes. "Now who, my pekin? Who want take you?" she asked. Onome closed her eyes and her breathing became shaky. Then she began to speak slowly, painfully, like dragging memory out of fire. "That night, in that house, there were other girls, but they didn't move. Their eyes were open, but they were not there. I saw things, Mama. I saw a mirror that didn't show your reflection. I saw a man kneeling before a calabash and speaking in tongues, but it was not church tongues. It was like serpent language." Her mother held her hand tightly. "Talk to me, my child. Don't be afraid, I am here." "I wanted to run," Onome whispered. "I swear I tried." But the door was gone. It was like the house moved. I screamed. Then one of them hit my forehead with something cold. That was when I lost consciousness. She began to cry. "I thought I died, Mama. But something pulled me back. I heard you calling my name in my sleep. I think it was your prayers." Mama Onome broke down in tears. "You came back to me, Onome. God know they sleep. He no go let them take your soul." For the first time since it all started, Onome hugged her mother, and tightly too. That same night, the doctors noticed something. Her blood pressure normalized. Her heartbeat was stabilized. This time, Onome asked for food herself. It was a sign. By the third month, Onome was discharged and allowed to go, with strict therapy and clinic sessions. And Mother moved into a small, one-room apartment in Mushin, close to a church recommended by the hospital social worker for the meantime. The road to healing was slow, but it began. Onome shaved off all her hair and started wearing a scarf. She refused to go near mirrors. Loud music triggered her panic, and she still had nightmares, nights where she would wake up sweating and crying. But she was back, breathing, living, and trying to fight and survive. Her course mates at Unilog had moved on. Semester had ended. Exams were over. Nobody called, not even Tolu. Onome didn't care. She had seen what the world could do. She had touched darkness with her bare hands and survived. But the story wasn't over. One early morning, as Mama Onome was boiling water on the stove, Onome sat on the floor reading Psalms. Suddenly, her body stiffened. Her eyes turned red. She held her chest and gasped, "Mama! Mama!" Her mother rushed to her. What is it?" she asked. "He's back," Onome said in a trembling voice. "That man, the one in the Lexus. I saw him in my dream. He was standing beside the hospital bed. He said, 'You escaped once. You won't escape again.'" That moment, a cold wind entered the room. The light shook. Then the stove went off by itself. Mama Onome knew this was not ordinary. She grabbed the Bible and started praying. From that day, strange things began to happen. Onome's phone, which had been off since her return, suddenly came back on one night without a SIM card. On the screen was a picture, not from the gallery and not from anywhere she remembered. It was the black Lexus Jeep, parked in front of a bush path. The license plate was blurred out, but under it, a message appeared. "Finish what you started." Onome screamed and threw the phone, and the screen cracked. The next morning, she and her mother went to the church. Pastor Timothy, a young but spirit-filled man, listened to the whole story. He prayed over them, anointed the house, and gave Onome one instruction: "You must testify." That's the only way to fully break free. Speak. Expose them. Your voice is your weapon now. Onome hesitated. Pastor, if I talk, they'll come for me again. The pastor smiled gently. They already tried, but they failed. That means God wants you to speak. You are still alive for a reason. That week, Onome created a new anonymous Twitter account. She posted one sentence. I was used for a ritual in Lagos, but I survived. Ask me anything. Within 24 hours, the tweet went viral. People asked questions. She told her story carefully, without revealing her face or name. She spoke about sugar daddies, Yahoo boys, cult houses disguised as short-let apartments, and the danger of chasing fast money in Lagos. Girls began to message her privately. Some told her similar stories. Some said they were still in it and didn't know how to leave. One girl even sent a picture of her own friend who had disappeared after entering a black Range Rover 2 weeks ago. Suddenly, Onome's story was no longer just hers. It was every girl's story. The thread hit 10,000 retweets in 1 week. Bloggers and online newspaper platforms picked it up. Still, no one knew it was Onome. Until a private message came from a user named Dapor_LX. It simply said, "You think Twitter can save you?" Onome froze, as if her heart stopped. The message stared at her from her cracked phone screen. She stared at it for a full minute, hoping it was just a prank. But the profile picture was not random. It was him. The same calm eyes, the same devilish smile. Only this time, he wasn't wearing his usual designer shade. He was looking straight into the camera. She threw the phone on the mattress, backed away, and pressed herself against the wall. "Mama!" she shouted, her voice sharp like a broken bottle. Mama Onome ran into the room with her wrapper dragging on the floor. "What happened again?" Onome pointed at the phone, shaking. "He found me. He knows I'm the one telling the story." Mama Onome rushed to pick up the phone, but the message was gone. The profile had vanished. Even the chat history was empty. It was as if it never existed. But the fear? It remained. That night, Onome couldn't sleep. She kept thinking, how did he find the account? I didn't post my name. I didn't use my face. Who is this man really? Why hasn't he been caught? Her mind raced. She searched social media, checking for clues. She opened her Twitter page, but then she noticed something strange. The viral Twitter thread she posted had been locked. She refreshed the page, but the response was, "This content has been removed for violating our terms." "What?" she whispered. She jumped from the bed and tried to log back in. But then, her account was suspended. All her tweets, gone. She rushed to a cyber cafe the next morning and tried again. Still the same thing. Someone, somewhere, had silenced her. But how? Meanwhile, in another part of Lagos, a young investigative journalist named Dami had seen the thread before it was deleted. Dami worked with an online media platform that had recently covered the death of 2 young girls found behind a club in Lekki. He had a strong feeling that this Onome girl's story is connected. Before the post disappeared, Dami had saved screenshots. He started digging. The location, the details, the timing, the mention of black Lexus Jeep. And surprisingly, it matched other cases. He made some calls, reached out to his friend in Unilag Security, and confirmed that a student named Onome Ogene had been reported missing months ago and later seen in a viral video running mad at Ojuelegba. Dami's journalistic instincts kicked in. "This girl is the key to breaking everything wide open," he told his boss. But his boss warned him, "Dami, be careful-o. These kind of people, Nadem, they control half of this city." "I know go fear," Dami replied. "If we no talk, who go talk?" He made it his mission to find Onome. Back in Mushin, Onome and her mother decided to pack out of the small room after some strange incidents happened back to back. A Bible they left open was burnt at the center. Only the part that said, "He that dwelleth in the secret place," was left untouched. They returned from evening church to find a dead pigeon tied with red cloth on their doorstep. It was clear. They were trying to silence her. They ran to Pastor Timothy again. He prayed and fasted for 3 days straight, then called a deliverance session. On the third night, Onome fell into a trance. She spoke in voices that weren't hers. She revealed names of people she had never met before. When she woke up, the pastor told her, "You were supposed to die, Onome. That night, your blood was meant to seal a covenant, but God stepped in. Now they are angry because you exposed them. But you must not stop. The truth is, your weapon." Onome wiped her tears. "Pastor, I want to fight. I'm ready now. I'm tired of hiding," she told him. Pastor Timothy smiled. "Then let's make your voice louder than Twitter." 2 days later, a video interview dropped on YouTube with then title, "I was used for rituals and survived. Unilag girl speaks out." Full interview. The video showed Onome's face, but it was blurred. Her voice was altered not to sound like her while sharing her full experience. She talked about everything, from meeting Uncle Dapor to the house in Ikoyi. She described the 3 men in red, the clay pot, the feeling of her soul leaving her body and waking up on the road. Dami had helped record and upload the video. He also published an article with deep research showing the connection between Onome's story and other missing girls in Lagos. The video hit 100,000 views in 24 hours. The next day, many newspapers, radio, and television stations picked up the story. The heat was rising. The police were forced to respond. Press briefings started, including the move to investigate ritual killings involving young women. People began talking. And then, somehow, a breakthrough came. A tip reached Dami's inbox. An unknown source sent a license plate number of the black Lexus Jeep linked to the missing girls. Dami cross-checked the number with the Lagos vehicle registry. And surprisingly, the name that came up, it was Dapor Olawale, a supposed businessman with no known company address, no CAC records, but lots of photos on Instagram posing with politicians, pastors, and celebrities. Dami sent the name to police contacts. Within 72 hours, SARS tracked the car to a private estate in Ikoyi. They stormed the place. But the house? It was empty, clean, too clean with no sign of life, as if someone had been warned. But one thing remained. In the basement, hidden under the floorboards, they found something. Something like a small black box. Inside it were photos of girls, including Onome. And next to her photo, a red X marked across her face. But hers was the only one with X that wasn't burned. They had failed with her. That same night, Onome received a call from a strange number. She didn't want to pick at first, but she summoned the courage and picked up. The voice on the other end was a male voice, calm and cold as he spoke. "You've done well, Onome." Very brave. Her body stiffened. "Who is this?" she asked. The voice laughed in a quiet but deadly way. "You already know. But remember, this is bigger than me, and you. You think one YouTube video will stop centuries of sacrifice? You're afraid," she said finally. But then, there was silence. Then he replied, "Be careful what you dig." Some graves were never meant to be opened, and click, the line went dead. The morning after the call, Onome sat outside their new church-provided apartment, staring at the sky. She hadn't told her mother about the voice on the phone. She didn't want her to worry more than she already did. But inside her heart, the fear had returned. Not the fear of death, but the fear of silence. Because silence was what they wanted, and she had refused to give it to them. That same day, Pastor Timothy came with news. The police had officially declared Dapor Olawale wanted. They linked him to a recent case of 6 other missing girls. 3 had been found dead, 2 were still missing, and Onome was the only known survivor. But there was a twist. When the authorities searched his bank accounts, they found over 800 million naira in scattered deposits. No source, no trace of business, just coded transfers and fake company names. And one of the accounts was connected to a charity run by a popular Lagos pastor. Suddenly, the case began to drag. The police became quiet. Some blogs deleted their stories. Some reporters stopped replying to Dami's calls. Even the YouTube video that Onome recorded mysteriously vanished, taken down for violating terms. Onome sat with Dami in a cafe, confused. "Is this how it ends?" she asked. Dami sighed. His eyes looked tired. "They have power, Onome. Money and links, they're already covering their tracks. But what of the girls? What of the people still missing?" she asked. He looked at her for a long time, then said, "Maybe you can't shut the whole system down. But you've already done something bigger." You gave the voiceless a voice. Weeks later, a quiet peace returned. Slowly, she started smiling and being her real self again. Her psychiatrist said her healing was miraculous. But deep inside, the fire never left her. One Sunday after youth service, a young girl approached her. She looked about 19, slim, fresh-faced, and scared. "Are you the auntie from the video?" "The one they say was in the Lexus." Onome paused, then nodded slowly. "Yes, that's me." The girl broke down in tears. I was almost taken too. "My friend introduced me to one man. He said we'll meet in 6, but after I read your story, I told him no. I ran. Thank you so much. You saved me." Onome hugged the girl. At that moment, she realized her pain had purpose. Her survival had saved someone, and that was more powerful than revenge. She chased Lagos like a dream. She wanted to belong, to shine, wanted soft life. But what she didn't know was that in this city, when you move too fast, you could fall into a trap you wouldn't be able to escape from. That was what happened to her. But she was lucky to come out alive. And these bad people? They dress it as love, as opportunity, but it's death in disguise. Thank God she survived, but many didn't. Some still missing, some will never be found. Onome was able to speak not because she was strong, but because silence would have killed her a second time. She's no longer the girl in bone-straight hair chasing after men in tinted glass Jeeps. She had become a woman who turned her pain into purpose, a survivor who helped others survive. And though she still dreams of that dark house in Ikoyi, she no longer wakes up in fear. She wakes up with fire. Because what the devil meant to use to destroy her, God used to awaken a generation. Moral of the story. Dear viewers, if you've made it this far, ask yourself, how many more Onome-s are out there right now, walking into cars they won't return from, all for the promise of comfort? Let this story be a warning, but also a light. Fast money, soft life, coded deals, it all comes with a cost. Sometimes the cost is your peace. Sometimes it's your mind. And sometimes it's your soul. So please, shine your eyes. If you're in something too deep, there is a way out. Speak. Ask for help. Don't let fear bury your truth. And if you know someone walking this road, share this story. It might save a life. Thank you for listening to Onome's journey. If this touched you, drop your thoughts in the comments below. Let's talk. Let's learn. Let's protect each other. Until next time, stay safe, stay wise, and above all, stay alive. Like this video, subscribe to African Tales by Imade for more real African stories, and share it with someone who needs to hear this.